Amid growing calls for Ukraine to hold elections, President Volodymyr Zelensky is pushing ahead with extending martial law, further delaying any possibility of a vote. In a significant move, Zelensky signed into law an extension of martial law and general mobilization from February 8th to May 9th, reinforcing wartime restrictions that have been in place since Russia launched its full-scale invasion in 2022. With this decision, parliamentary and presidential elections remain impossible under current legislation, fueling criticism both domestically and abroad. Zelensky first declared martial law on February 24, 2022, the day Russian forces stormed Ukraine, and has since extended it multiple times with parliamentary approval. The latest extension was proposed by the president on January 14th and swiftly passed by Ukraine's parliament, the Verkhovna Rada, a day later. Under the law, Ukrainian men aged 18 to 60, with few exceptions, are barred from leaving the country, as they may be called to military service. While Kyiv argues the extension is necessary to maintain national security, the prolonged suspension of elections has drawn international scrutiny. The delay has given Russia an opportunity to challenge Zelensky's legitimacy. Days before this latest extension was signed, Russian President Vladimir Putin questioned whether Zelensky had the legal authority to govern, arguing that his term had effectively expired.
If we start negotiating now, it will be illegitimate. I haven't talked about it here, but I will say that there is really a problem. Why? Because when the current head of the regime, that's the only way I can call him today, signed this decree, he was a legitimate president, but now he can't revoke it because he's illegitimate.
Echoing Putin's stance, Kremlin spokesperson Dmitry Peskov dismissed Zelensky's recent statement that he was open to direct talks with Russia, citing Ukraine's own legislative restrictions.
Willingness must be based on something. It cannot be based on a legislative ban on such negotiations for Zelensky. Therefore, for now, it is impossible to perceive it other than empty words. There can't and shouldn't be room for emotion. There is room for legal analysis and pragmatism. We need to be fully aware of this situation. The analysis on our side, which has been repeatedly voiced by President Putin, shows that Mr. Zelensky has big problems de jure in terms of his legitimacy in his country. But even so, the Russian country remains open to negotiations. And the dynamics of developments on the ground, the dynamics of the special military operation, very unambiguously indicate that first and foremost, openness and interest in such negotiations should be demonstrated from Kyiv.
The United States has also entered the debate, with the Biden administration previously emphasizing Ukraine's need to uphold democratic principles even in wartime. Now, the Trump administration is pushing Kyiv to hold elections, potentially by the end of the year, especially if a truce with Russia can be reached in the coming months. Keith Kellogg, Trump's special envoy for Ukraine and Russia, told Reuters that elections need to be done despite the ongoing war. He added that both he and Trump are working on a plan to broker a peace deal within the early months of the new administration.
Well, we'll be speaking. We'll be speaking, and I think we'll perhaps do something that'll be significant. We want to end that war. That war would have never started if I was president, and it's just a senseless situation, and it's got to stop. So whatever I can do to stop it, and we are having discussions, yes.
However, Kyiv remains deeply skeptical of Washington's push for elections. Dmytro Litvin, a communications advisor to Zelensky, warned that a ceasefire and elections alone would do little to deter Moscow's aggression, stressing the need for strong security guarantees to prevent further Russian advances. With martial law now extended until May 9th, Zelensky's government remains locked in a battle on multiple fronts, fighting Russian forces, countering Kremlin narratives about his legitimacy, and facing pressure from the West to return to the democratic process.